Hey, what's up? My name is Jonathan Fink. I am the author of The Republic Baseball League, and this is my audiobook series, free on YouTube. Up next, we'll read The Republic Baseball League, Volume 1, Chapter 14, The Field of Experimental Economics. Thanks for joining me. If you enjoy, please like, and if you want more of this stuff, please subscribe. Thank you so much. Professor Dempsey walked into the lecture hall for the next political economy class with a big smile on his face. For the first time all semester, he was not wearing a colorful baseball jersey. Instead, he wore a full-length white laboratory coat that he borrowed from a friend who taught at the University of Kansas School of Medicine. This made him look more like a scientist than a baseball fanatic who happened to love teaching economics at the university level. Before saying a word to his students, who were no doubt stunned by his appearance, Dempsey walked back and forth across the front of the room a few times, strutting like a proud peacock to show off his new professional attire. Dempsey milked the moment for all that it was worth, and after the class shifted from astonishment to laughter, indicating their approval of his antics, he began his lecture for the day. He said that his prepared remarks today would focus on the field of experimental economics, the application of experimental methods to study economic questions. He told the class that in the field of economics, experiments are often used to help researchers understand how and why markets and other exchange systems function as they do. By using controlled, scientific experiments, economists test choices people actually made in specific circumstances and why they did so. When done correctly, under these circumstances, economic experiments captured key features of some real-world markets and provided valuable guidance on what is likely to transpire in the future. Dempsey said that in a typical experimental economics assessment, individual participants agree to take part in a trial and perform assigned roles such as buyers, sellers, or market competitors. The data collected during this experiment is used to test the validity of economic theories under investigation, which helps the economic researchers gain insight into market dynamics. He continued that during such an experiment, the researchers can modify the rules and the incentives to observe how doing so alters the behavior of the participants. They can also modify economic policy and observe the effects of these changes. As a part of the process, the researchers compare the actual results of the experiment with theoretical predictions previously established as to how the participants would react and respond. Using this technique in economic experiments, researchers and economists test theoretical predictions, assess the robustness of theories, and validate assumptions. Continuing his discussion on the subject, Dempsey noted that an increasingly popular platform for testing economic experiments is agent-based computational modeling, also known as computer simulation. With this computer methodology, economists typically focus on economic processes, including dynamic system economies in which market participants interact with each other. In such a simulation, market participants are not actually real people. Instead, artificial intelligence is used to create computer-controlled market participants or competitors who are programmed to behave according to the rules of the modeled system. Then, Dempsey said that he intended to expand the curriculum for the course to include an actual experiment. He told his students that they'd be required to collect data, make observations, test assumptions and predictions, and would have the opportunity to interact, compete, and collaborate with fellow students. To maximize the benefits of the experiment, He challenged his students to immerse themselves in the experience, which he expected to be an exciting, collective learning lesson for everyone involved. With many of his students now on the edge of their seats, Dempsey said, "We are going to apply the field of experimental economics to study the business of baseball. Next class, I will tell you all exactly what I have in mind for this project. It should be fun. That said, our time is up for today. Have a great weekend, everyone. Oh, one last thing. Please wear your colorful baseball jerseys to our next class." Walking out of the lecture hall together, Corey said to RJ and Rachel, "What do you think our wily professor has up his sleeve?" Rachel replied, "I don't know, but I can't wait to find out." RJ said, "Hey, you guys interested in going over to the barbershop to hang out for a bit?" Rachel smiled and said, "My car is in the parking lot. Let's go. I'll drive." End of chapter 14. Up next, chapter 15, The Class Project. Thanks for joining me today. My name is Jonathan Fink, and I hope you're enjoying the audiobook series. You guys take care. And as always, God bless.
This month, we have some great sports card stories from across the U.S. and talk to an author from nearby Leawood, Kansas, who has written a book about returning to collecting after 3 decades away.
My day job is I'm a financial advisor, so I've been investing for over 20 years. In a way to express my love for the hobby, I decided, what if I write an investment book, Sports Card Collectors Club, and treat the stock market the same way I would treat the card market. And so I thought, well, how would a day trader invest in cards? How would a venture capitalist buy and sell cards? How would a hedge fund do it? As I would go through my trials and tribulations, I realized that for as much fun as I was having investing, there was something missing. And one day I was watching the Royals game on television, and it was a rain delay. And the Card Life television show came on. I was watching that episode, I was watching Matt Strom open cards and rip packs, and I started getting the warm, fuzzy feeling. I said, this is what I want to be doing. I want to get back to really collecting and ripping cards and building sets. And that's when the story of my book has changed. I go from investing back to collecting.
I'll also open a variety of boxes from different sports. So he hit the home run off me in the 7th inning. And then in the 8th inning, JT hit a double, so he's standing on second. And Mason Wynn asked him, he's like, "Hey JT," he's like, "I heard Strom collects cards of guys that take him deep." He's like, "Does that mean he's gonna send me over a couple cards to sign tomorrow?" And after the game, we had won. I mean, winning is the only thing that's important to me. So it's like, I was good after the game, whatever, and JT comes up to me and he's like, "Hey Stromy," he was really genuine. He wasn't taking shots. And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Well, when I got to second, Mason asked if you're gonna send a card over for him."
I'm just looking around my basement here, just walls covered with concert posters and toys, and just I have no intention of selling these things. I collect because I want to show off the things I love and do it in fun ways. And it just never crossed my mind that, hey, I'm going to go buy this thing just so I can resell it. That to me isn't a pure collector mentality. And obviously things change and times change. And, in order for things to survive right now, you have to have that sort of chase for something valuable.
Yeah, it needs to be a circus. You know what? The truth is, I actually watched the live stream on eBay Live with Ken Golden and Logan Paul. They ripped a box of 86 Flair and a box of Series 1 Pokemon. And you know what? It was very entertaining. They're both polarizing characters. I thought it was entertaining. But you know what? After every pull, they immediately are showing the value. And and it begs the question, are we creating, not we, is the industry creating a gambling culture which has a real downside?
It already has. Right. Not created. It's here.
Yeah, and
that's
a concern. I guess for me, I hope to be an influence where we focus more on collecting, because you know what, when markets crash, collectors don't get hurt at all. Because the Sandy Koufax you bought that because it makes you feel good. It brings back good memories.
Said this one traded for my first big win. Jonathan Fink on the line tonight.
You have created community, so let's talk about that. I went to Rip Night at your shop. Let's rip another pack. And I went to your Rip Night 2 years ago, and it was one of the best. I wrote about it in volume 1. It was one of the best times I've ever had. You guys had this giant scoreboard where you had the chase cards, and everyone can buy whatever product you wanted, like buy 3 get 1 free, whatever product, whatever it was. You then, if you pull a Bronny James, you then get another blaster. Or I pulled a Reed Shepherd auto, and then I got a free T-shirt. And I sat around the table with strangers and had the best time ever. So let's talk about how important community is, and what you guys do is provide an anchor for community in our town. How important that is.
Yeah, definitely. You know, like you said, one of our taglines, we say we'll make an offer on anything, but like you said, I mean, we got to pay what it's worth, and so if it's junk wax, it's going to be junk wax prices, which unfortunately, you know, a lot of people end up thinking that their 87 Topps Barry Bonds is going to be a couple $100 or
it's
something.
worth nothing, people.
Brand and notoriety. And so when you're pitching these stories to these athletes, like I've reached out to a couple of different athletes about writing a potential article about their collections and having them kind of share their story. And it's like, yes, like I write for collectibles on SI, which is under the Sports Illustrated umbrella. It does carry weight. Like it does, people recognize that brand. It is important. And so I'm super grateful that I've been given the opportunity to write for that staff.
The top segment that was done by you on you was so well produced, right? Did all that come from the conversation you had with Michael Rubin? Is that how that put you on the map to such an extent that all those opportunities happened? How did that happen? Did you get a call one day?
Said this one traded for my first big win. Jonathan Fink on the line tonight with a pack in hand and a story that bites.
I didn't even collect when I was 3 years old, like when this card came out, but you just pulled a good one. Roman Anthony, you know, from Dempsey. I love Wichita State. Yeah. I would have been thrilled if he went to Tulane, but his parents have roots in Nebraska. So for him, it was coming home. And so Nebraska got a good one. And so I'm not surprised that program's on the rise because they got a great stadium. They have great resources. They got a great fan base with people like you. And their recruiting is fantastic. They're finding the talented kids. So
yeah, in fact,
the Big Ten.
So yeah, Will Bolt, the head coach, he actually played at Nebraska when I was traveling with the Nebraska team in the late '90s. He was down at Texas A&M when I worked at Texas A&M. Rob Childress is the pitching coach, and I was on the hiring committee that hired him away from Nebraska to come down at Texas A&M, and they're thrilled that he's back here in Nebraska. He's a genius. The number of players in pro ball right now that went through Rob Childress, so he'll be under good guidance when he gets up here to Nebraska. They're good people.
One kid found a mantle in the rain. One old friend came back with the same old chain.
Talk to me about the reaction of the players, the other players, when they see this bat putter. Are they flipping out? They freak out when they see it?
And they see it and they're like, they just stop. Yeah, let's go. Yeah.
So the reason why I asked that question is because I had that experience literally yesterday. So when I first got the bat putter, I think I bought it 6 months ago, and it's customized for the Republic Baseball League, which is so cool. And now that I realize, now that I love it so much, and I got to use it yesterday, I'm like, I got to start buying them for different people. Like anyone's a guest on my show, they're gonna get a bat putter, okay? Yeah. But the point is, I had never used it because I thought it was too sacred to me. I keep it in my office like a sacred shrine. It means so much to me. But then I was like, after watching all these videos and stuff like that, I'm like, you know what? There's this indoor amazing place in Kansas City called Tap-Ins. Okay, they have an outdoor putt, but also indoor. And depending on the weather, the whole thing, it's an amazing atrium, and it's become a successful business. Yeah. And I was like, you know what? That's a perfect. It was a hot day. I'm like, it's a perfect thing to do. So my buddy Paul Greenwood, who I featured in my first book, we went and played around. And when I showed up with this bat putter, people were freaking out. They were literally losing their minds, and that's when I realized. So then, and then by the way, it was a Sunday, middle of the day, hot as heck. I want to see how it gets made, but you probably do actually.
I want to see if there's quality control testers there.
But you know, attention! If anyone at the Tops is watching, Grip and Rep we want to get invited to a tour at a factory. The two of us.
I told them I would work for free.
Right.
I would work absolutely free. I want to see how their stuff's made.
Yeah, I'm curious. But like collation is like I'm sure there's a bunch of engineers that sit around and design.
Got some breaking news for you.
Yeah.
Slab just texted me.
No way. What do you say? The
Looks like this is the first year to hear it. Who is that?
Right.
Let me see here.
Breaking news. Grip and Rep breaking news.
Oh, U.S. agent. Okay, so I just got told that the finest mega boxes are going to be really, really, really good.
Oh, interesting.
1.6 numbered cards a box. So you're guaranteed one numbered card with a 60% chance to pull a second numbered card.
Wow,
And
interesting.
Autos are 1 in 3.
Whoa. So do you think that Topps decided to go big because this is their first year with Topps Finest in retail?
I'm going to say yes. Yes.
Right? Because
I do think so.
You usually get so upset with the delayed numbers, they're delaying them. Or maybe, by the way, I don't know if it's a conspiracy that the odds are coming out later. I just feel that maybe they're just not as efficient as they used to be.
You might have watched this game back
I'm
when,
sure I did.
Currently, it's
Derek
only
Coleman. Yeah, he was on my fantasy team for sure.
pretty crazy to think, in the future you would be able to collect that moment that you watched.
Right. And by the way, check that out. It's worth $198 versus the ones that are worth 35 cents because it makes sense. Because the same way that you value your 1964 Willie Mays card, you're going to value your Drazen Petrovic, and you're not going to want to give it up unless it's for a very, very good price because you love that memory. And what's wild is the same way that you get the warm, fuzzy feeling with dopamine hit, whatever, when you look at a card on your shelf, it's the same thing. But when you're online at the bank, you don't have your cards with you, Paulie, but you do have your phone, and you can pull up your Drazen Petrovic and pay respect to him and watch a couple of his awesome plays that give you the warm fuzzies because you can. It's wild. And so